You have to have the.
Okay. Can you hear me? I got you. Got your Twitter on there as well. All right, it's 4 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and start this. Hi, my name is Chad Spurlock. I'm over here at Beaver Technology Center teaching 4th grade math and science. My moderator for today is Jose Colon, who works over at 5th grade, works in 5th grade over at Freeman. All right, let's see. Yep. Here at Beaver, we are one-to-one with iPads and MacBooks in the classroom, and that certainly presents us with some great opportunities to incorporate technology into the classroom. With that said, the information presented today will be used in classrooms, can be used in classrooms with limited technology. This webinar will cover one way that I empower my students learning through technology integration. I'll show you how my students are using their NWEA MAP results during Think Tank time to create individual learning plans, and how they're following them with the assistance of Khan Academy, Quizizz, and Google Classroom. I hope by the end of this webinar, you'll be inspired to use some form of this plan in whichever way works for your classroom. This webinar is not aimed at teaching you how to use the websites mentioned, but we'll show you what you'll need to set up to be able to complete such a routine. Okay. Today's webinar will help cover Empowered Learner. 1A, B, C, and D of the ISTE standards. Please see www.iste.org or your school's I3 representative for more information on these standards. In my classroom, I have a unique challenge when it comes to students. I have students that are at grade level and others who are ready to move on to more advanced skills. The range from one group of students to another is large enough that I need a solution outside of normal practices. This year, I decided to implement a new routine for my students in the Think Tank time. I wanted something that was as student-centered as possible to challenge them as much as they could be challenged to their upper limits. Students use Google Classroom to access their NWEA MAP learning statements. They use these statements to create a plan on Google Doc. Their plan includes their specific statement they want to learn about and how they're going to pursue that knowledge on Khan Academy. They use Khan Academy's search function or search feature to help locate a lesson and take notes in Cornell format. They use the practice questions on Khan Academy inside the lessons as well. When they feel ready, I find a specific quizzes, the Quizizz website, to the skill they're practicing. I keep the number of questions to about 10 each time. They take that information and record it on their Google Doc as evidence of learning and reflect on their confidence level, deciding whether or not they're ready to move on to another learning statement. What I'm going to go through right now is the preparation that you need to do on your part and a few pointers for the first day if you decide to include this in your classroom. The first thing that you need to do is grab your NWEA MAP learning statements for each student. These instructions are given for Google Chrome browser, so I suggest you go ahead and use that one when you're pulling these reports. To do this, you're going to navigate to teach.mapnwea.org. Click on the MAP growth reports to pull this page up. You'll then click on student profile and follow the prompts and make your way to a specific student. On the student profile page, you need to click on the 2 arrows I've highlighted in the instructional areas box. This will expand out and show the learning statements. You will see a bar. You will then see the bar below. You want to make sure that you have the topics there and that you've clicked on reinforce, develop, and introduce. You'll then click on print and share, located at the top right corner, and then print screen. And then when the printer prompt pops up, you're going to click on change to print to a PDF. I recommend saving this PDF under the student's name so you can find it later. And just a heads up, at the end of this presentation, there's going to be a link to this presentation so you can go back through these different steps. It's quite a bit. All right, the next thing you're going to need to do is grab the planning document. And that's this one right here. And I also have the link down at the bottom left corner. On this document, this is where they're going to be setting their confidence level. It has the table at the top. It tells whether or not they're ready to move on, or helps them decide whether or not they're ready to move on. They're going to be typing in their specific area of work inside of this document. That's going to be the statement, the learning statement from the MAP report, their exact plan on what they plan to do to get that knowledge. And then at the end, when they circle back, after they've taken the quizzes, after they've done the practice questions on Khan Academy, and of course, after they've taken their notes and gone through the lesson, they're going to record their evidence. Now, the evidence can be, excuse me, just their score from the quizzes, or it can be a snapshot as well as the score from the quizzes, or how well they did on the answers on Khan Academy. Of course, it's your classroom. It's up to you. But I make sure that they set their goal for the MAP with their MAP score, and that they do put their confidence level every single time. Okay. If you have not already, set up a Google Classroom. Inside that Google Classroom, you should then create an assignment for each student. This assignment will have 2 things: the Google Doc that I mentioned before, previously, and the NWEA MAP learning statements report as well. Each assignment must be assigned to students one by one, obviously, so we don't have the other students seeing each other's reports. It takes a little while, and if you need help on how to do that, a simple Google search will pull up a video and show you how you can select the specific students. The next thing I'd like you to do is go ahead and you're going to sign up for a Quizizz account. You can sign in through Google, and it'll connect the accounts, and that way you can just click the login with Google button each time. On the Quizizz page, you're going to have, after you log in, this landing page. Note the different options on the left side: find a quiz, my quizzes, which are going to be the ones that you end up making duplicates of and editing, and then reports of how your students are doing each one. Here's an example of a quiz. Here's an example of a quiz. Once you found one, you click on it, and this is what appears. You're going to want to use the homework game button to start. I recommend making the date due as far out as possible so you can reuse it for other students. Edit it and print buttons are located on the right side of the screen. Of course, you can always delete it if you mess it up. I usually edit and limit the questions to the 10 questions. Any more than that, and it's probably going to take them too long. Any less than that, and you might not get a good measurement. Okay. On the very first day, you're going to want to guide the students to specific learning statements. I recommend maybe centering around a topic that you just started. Have them possibly, and this is up to your class and how your skills are, work through the reinforcement, development, and then introduce. Teach them exactly how to do the searches on Khan Academy. Keep their language simple. Show them how they can find the lessons by grade level as well. And then after they've found these specific things, you can guide them on how to write their plans. And it's a process. It takes a while to get it. Don't count on them getting it perfect the first day. But it's absolutely worth it. Okay. Here's an example of what those learning statements look like. I have my students start with the reinforcement. Once they've shown mastery or at least have evidence of learning and how well they've done and their confidence level is up on those, they move on to the develop. And then they'll go into the introduce. But they must complete these first two, which usually don't take too long, especially with my higher RIT scores. They usually move pretty quickly through those and do very well on the quizzes. On the NWEA's website, they also explain a little bit more about the learning statements. So when you go to this report, you can click on Learning Statement Help, and they will definitely help you out with that. Again, this is just kind of a brief snapshot here. On that first day, I keep them independent, and then after that, I give them the choice of whether or not they want to work in groups or stay independent. Now, I tell them that they're only allowed to work in groups of those that are working on the same exact learning statements. And although we have a giant range in RIT scores, we do have some clusters of similar RIT scores here and there. So they do end up working in groups quite often. And you can see they're taking their notes there. They're watching the video. That's another thing that you'll have to prepare your students for. If you're not an avid school, we're not an avid school here, but if you are an avid school, they've probably already had a little bit of practice with note taking. I introduced my students to note taking at the beginning of the year. We specifically went the route of Cornell notes, and I have them use a specific spiral for this think tank work. So why incorporate this routine? Since practicing project-based learning, I've come to understand that the student's voice and choice is ideal not only during these events, but other times during the school day. Giving the student a choice in their learning seems to motivate them. The results are a student who not only will be more involved in the process, but excel in it. This routine gives them just that. This routine can also make sure that all students, including gifted and talented labeled, are challenged to their abilities, which is required by the state. The activities each student will complete are tailored to their needs according to their RIT score. And of course, throughout this routine, students will be developing a very essential skill, which is the ability for them to reflect on their learning and act on those reflections. Okay. Here's a few of the websites that I ended up using. Quizizz was the one that I'm using to check those skills that they've gone through with their notes and the videos. As well as khanacademy.org, using the videos and the questions there. Google Classroom is just a must for me. It's a central hub where the students are navigating through Google Classroom for these documents and then clicking links and going from there to these specific lessons. teach.mapnwea.org is where you're going to access the student profile to get those learning statements for each student. And that's pretty much all I have on it. That's the process that we go through. Like I said, it's not an instant process. You have to train them. You have to make them understand what a plan looks like, set their goals, and it really does pay off. Now, of course, I'll really know how well it pays off when they complete the MAP testing this February or this January. But with them doing specific skills tailored specifically to what they need, I have no reason to think that this won't create anything but great growth. And that's what I'm after, the growth, as well as the voice and choice, making them excited about the learning and wanting to do it. Another result of this routine that I've implemented is they've been excited about it. Some of my students do this at home without me assigning anything. It's all up to them, and of course I give them that option if they want to do that too. It's really training them to reflect on that learning and help them become college ready, for sure. Okay, that is pretty much all I have on this. If you have any questions, you can contact me on Twitter or you can email me. There's my tech handle there. And Jose, is that the correct Twitter handle for you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. There's the link to the presentation right there. I'll leave that up and in the chat or wherever. Jose is going to go ahead and paste that link. Or maybe me.
We're looking for it.
I gotcha. Let's see if I can find it. If there's any questions, feel free to ask them. That pace. Okay. All right. Y'all have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening.